Okay. Alrighty, let's do this. So we're continuing our adventure and doing the third part of the trial. Or the fifth part of the case. You know what? We're going to the next trial. Good morning to you, Mr. Naruhodo. Mr. Naruhodo. Good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings? I hope so. I should be. Even I, with nothing left to... Good morning, my dear fellows. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're here. Why, naturally, a true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times. Thank you, I really appreciate it. I'll see you later then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Yes, do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited again. Yes, I will. I realize it was a mistake, but my dear fellows, I must interject. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter? Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? Did we cast in my direction? Sorry, I don't follow. Must I spell it out? I, the great Herlock Sholmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here first thing in the morning. A miracle, you must agree. Well, if I must agree, then. As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Iris had to employ her full gamut of tricks. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both my cheeks, punched me and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend in my face, and at last I was bestirred. Ow. Oh my, Iris has been busy. Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. Like, she's too nice. I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes in the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I'm the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory. Sorry to cut in. Sorry to cut in. Oh, Inspector Gregson. Good morning. Gregson, my dear fellow, why the grim expression at this delightfully early hour? I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grimmer expression. Oh, no. Dear me, are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? I don't know. Poor Professor. Anyway, here's the paperwork you asked for. What paperwork? I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I had a feeling it may prove useful. You wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out from the archives. It's a professor's autopsy report. That mass murderers killed 5 members of the aristocracy? He was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here. Alright. Well, I'm sure we'll find some good use for that. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector. Yes, much obliged, Gregson. Us lowly lot at the yard are just doing what we can in the shadow of the great Detective Sholmes, of course. Oh, then, Professor Harebrained, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last. I wish you the best of luck, Professor. I suppose he'll be in there today, will he? Drebber. Yes, we expect the prosecution to submit him as a witness. I'm still amazed that you managed to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much. Counsel and the defendant! The trials must return! Try to make your way to the courtroom at once! Alrighty. This is it then. The final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before, actually, this strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth. Man, my back is kind of aching right now. Ah. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this courtroom to be in session again. We resume the public hearing of Albert Harebrain, here present, who stands accused of murder. Are the counsels for the prosecution and defense ready to proceed? The prosecution is ready, my lord. There he is. Defense is ready, my lord. As promised, Lord Van Zykes has his apprentice with him. His apprentice with memory loss. Oh boy, if I may, Lord Van Zykes. Yes, my lord. There appears to be someone standing at your side. Yes, my apprentice and assistant. The prosecution believes today's proceedings will see the complexity of this case rise considerably. Therefore, I instructed my assistant to attend to ensure the smooth running of the trial. And the smooth running of liquid refreshments, by the look of it. The way he holds himself, the way he moves, it couldn't be anyone else. But he's still suffering from amnesia, so there's really nothing we can do at the moment. And we still haven't seen his face. I know, but it's very hard. It would appear the prosecution has done a fine job in responding to the demands of the court made yesterday. I understand you have successfully secured the engineer who disappeared from the scene of the day in question. Yes, my lord. I intend to call him as a witness shortly. Very good. Very good. Now then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, who have been chosen at random to represent the will of the people in this courtroom today, are you ready and willing to proceed? Of course, my lord. I'm sure we all understand the importance of knowing our civic duty. I so despise deception and deceit. I find it so very wearing. To take a man's life with a country trick, it is against the magician's code not to mention the law. Any fake scientist should fear the wrath of God, if you ask me.
We have to listen to what said on both sides of the fence in, 711. That's it, isn't it?
Wasn't like this in my day. Wasn't like this at all. If all parties are ready to proceed, you may begin, Lord Van Zykes. Before I do, my lord, there is a report I must read to the court. Yesterday, at the Great Exhibition Grounds, the evidence of primary importance to this case, the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine, which was installed on the experimentation stage, was deliberately destroyed in an explosion affected by unknown person or persons. It was what? An explosion? It was an outrage! Oh boy, that's gonna make things tricky. Complicated. Yep, yes, I heard the grave news yesterday. Scotland Yard submitted a report to my office in the evening. I read that the machine was blasted to smithers and the wreckage reduced to ashes in the flames. Was anyone hurt? I have the photographic report of the scene, taken in the wake of the explosion. It shows what little remains of the machine. Yes, a terrible business. He did it to destroy the evidence, did he? That Enoch Drebber. The court will take this print as evidence, counsel. Late yesterday afternoon, the protection afforded to the machine by the Special Dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act was revoked. However, before a thorough investigation could begin, the invention was obliterated from existence. As such, this will become a very different trial. As it stands now, with no evidence to draw meaningful conclusions. Sorry, I'm just... The authenticity of the kinesis machine will remain forever in obscurity. Indeed. A most unfortunate state of affairs. However, one thing remains clear. The victim's death was a result of the actions of the accused. Of that, we can be certain, for it was the accused himself who was operating the machine, who was ultimately caused its loss of control. Wait a minute. As Lord Van Zykes rightly says, it's a very different trial now. The accused accepts responsibility for his part in the events that transpired. he acknowledges that Mr. Asman died as a result of the accident caused by his machine's malfunction. However, unbeknownst to the professor, he was being deliberately deceived by a pair of very clever fraudsters. Names, counsel, if you please. Engineer Mr. Enoch River, and the victim himself, Mr. Adi Asman. So what exactly were these two men up to behind the defendant's back? The defendant intends to expose that information, thus establishing the unequivocal innocence of the defendant. Thank you, counsels. The positions of the prosecution defense have been stated very clearly. Lord Van Zykes, summon your first witness, please. At once, my lord. Mr. Enoch Drebber to the stand. Oh boy. Already. State your name and occupation for the court.
Name, Enoch Drebber. Occupation. Hard to pin down, I would say.
See that black monocle? Yes, why do I feel as though I've seen it somewhere before? Oh, you too? I had exactly the same feeling. Your file indicates that you are currently being investigated in connection with another case. The theft of a waxwork model, is it? A most extraordinary sounding business. But that...
That has no bearing on this file, I assure you. Leave it from your mind.
You're familiar with the public experiment carried out at the Great Exhibition some days ago? The accused super high voltage instantaneous kinesis demonstration.
Yes, you could say that. I am aware of it. There was a terrible accident, wasn't there?
It was you, Mr. Drebber, who constructed the vast machine used in the experiment. So our investigations indicate. Can you confirm your involvement?
Yes, I constructed it. In precise accordance with the blueprint. Well, that's all.
Then the court would be very interested to hear your thoughts about the machine, I'm sure.
An amazing device, if you ask me. The medical of modern science, making instantaneous pieces a reality at last.
What? Good gracious, do you mean to say that the experiment was bona fide? Is that your belief, sir?
Yes, it was very much my belief. Such a waste that it flew up.
Wait a minute, but we've already established the machine was nothing more than a prop for an elaborate concrete trick.
Objection!
You established nothing of the sort. All that was shown during yesterday's proceedings is that the same outcome could have been produced by means of stage trickery. The defense merely proposes a method and demonstrated its feasibility, nothing more. But... We've procrastinated long enough, I feel. Witness, you will now give your formal testimony about the machine you constructed for the purpose of demonstration at the Great Exhibition.
Understood.
That voice actually doesn't really hurt that bad. It's crazy as it sounds, but it's a little hard to do sometimes. Anyway, let's try it. Let's do this.
I met the young professor approximately 1 year ago. So, through Mr. Aspen's introduction, he provided me with a blueprint, and I constructed the machine to his precise specification. It was no trick. If the whole show was a fraud, it would have required a body double tell me did the victim have a twin. All the spectators saw the percage appear above their head, and then crash headfirst into Grizzle's Tower. A terrible accident, I grant you. Perhaps the science of which she was built was flawed somehow.
What if I buried myself with this voice? A body double?
I don't think, surely. You give an impression that something has moved when in reality it hasn't. Is a basic conjuring principle. The subject cannot be achieved without substituting the original with a fake at some point in the performance. But would I be right in saying you haven't managed to establish anything along those lines?
Incidentally, the prosecution has already confirmed that Mr. Asman has no twin sibling. It is my understanding that the witness is well versed in conjuring artfulness, but such talents do not indicate that he actually was able to accomplish what he claims, namely the construction of what by all accounts must have been an extremely complex scientific machine.
Whatever do you mean?
Yesterday's proceedings brought the true nature of your past exploits to light, Mr. Trevor. Indeed it did, my lord. As a swindler who preys on innocent scientists to elicit government grant money through conjuring know-how.
Yes, it's true that I possess considerable knowledge of stage magic. But crucially, my scientific knowledge more than matches that of any academic in the field.
Investigation of the witness's workshop attests to that claim, my lord. As evidence, the police found the Royal Scientist Society trophy for young talent in science there. Yes, that's true. We spotted it there ourselves.
If a hypothesis is down, it can always be forced into a physical manifestation with sufficient skill. Though I may have sold the secret to some deceptive wiles to sniveling talentless scientists in the past.
Would you therefore assert that the explosion of the machine was
An unfortunate accident, or of course, a deliberate act of murder carried out by misuse of the science?
Uh-huh. Counsel for the defense, your cross-examination, please. Yes, my lord.
Hold it!
You were already acquainted with Mr. Asman himself.
Not really. By chance, I've seen his name mentioned in the papers, that's all. I had no interest in his private affairs. If he was an unscrupulous investor, it was no concern of mine. As long as people pay their bills, I take up my duels and construct what I ask for.
So why did Mr. Asman approach you in particular then?
Who can say? I presume because my name is associated with excellence in engineering.
Not to mention excellence in fraud.
Hard to gauge. But the point is, all I did was construct the machine according to the blueprints I was given.
In other words, the kinesis machine was built on solid scientific principles.
Yes, you might say that. Professor Hairbrain certainly has a mind like no other.
Hold it!
It's clear that you have both scientific knowledge and knowledge of conjuring magic, however...
The more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to handle, or whatever comes along. When your implication is that I furnished the machine with some trickery, I think.
It's a possibility that we have to explore.
Unfortunately though, the machine has been blown to Kingdom Come. Now there's really nothing left to explore, is there?
It appears that the kinesis machine was fitted with a timed explosive device of some sort.
And there was nothing left of the device either. Not a shred of evidence remaining, I hear.
He must have planned all this from the outset.
But in any case, it's abundantly clear that the experiment could have been, couldn't have been a trick.
Hold it!
Of course, that's it. Mr. Asman was a twin. He
Objection!
doesn't have a twin. Perhaps my learned friend wasn't listening earlier. Mr. Asman had no twin siblings. No, I heard you before. I let the thread of hope hadn't quite left me. The demonstration could have been a trick if there was somebody who looked sufficiently like the witness, like the victim. But the other side absolutely ruled that out as a possibility. It's beyond question the victim himself, Mr. Asman, did move from the stage to Crystal Tower. The fingerprints found at the scene attest to the fact. So it can't have been orchestrated using someone who looked identical to Mr. Asman then. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo? Oh, no, nothing. Just that the idea of someone who looked identical to the victim is playing on my mind.
Hold it!
It crashed head first, you say? According to the many witness reports from those there at the time, yes.
Were you not there at the exhibition grounds on the day?
Unlikely. I rarely leave my work up.
Yet another of your unique inventions was found at the scene.
Well, it was the unveiling of the machine I labored over many months. I saw it clearly with my own eyes, the birdcage plummeting headfirst into the tower.
What a surprise!
I believe the victim's neck was broken from a headlong fall, wasn't it?
How would you have come by that information?
Even an infernal recluse like me, who reads the newspaper, you know. According to the reports, no injuries were apparent on the victim's body.
Yes, he'd been stabbed in the chest by a screwdriver, believed to belong to the defendant, and he had broken vertebrae as a result of a fall up from considerable height. Correct, my learned friend has been doing his research, it seems. Do we know which injury was the fatal one? Sadly not. Forensic science is not yet at a level where such things can be determined. What we do know is that the victim died having sustained both injuries at some point during the experiment, and since he was found in the birdcage with his neck broken...
It's obvious that he fell from a considerable height.
I suppose that's hard to deny.
A terrible accident, I grant you.
Hold it!
So you understood the science, did you?
Not in the slightest.
Oh, right.
In the number of times I'm an engineer, my job is to manufacture according to the blueprints I'm given. I would be inventive in inviting manifold problems if I fluid to allow my brain to suggest the ideas behind them. I could be accused of stealing those ideas, for example.
But how is it possible to construct a machine without really understanding the principles it relies on? You can bake a bread without knowing how it's made.
Well, you're breaking along without really understanding the principles it relies on, aren't you?
A very good point. Stand up for yourself, Mr. Naruhodo! Point is, the experiment resulted in instantaneous kinesis taking place. As such, the science must be sound. Yes.
Yes, and really, experimental results are all that matters make up to proving a hypothesis.
He's certainly very sure of himself. What do you think, Mr. Naruhodo? Well, now that the machine has been completely destroyed by yesterday's explosion, it's going to be impossible to argue its authenticity one way or another. One way or the other. But if we're unable to establish that it was a piece of trickery rather than... we'll have no grounds on which to demonstrate Professor Harebraine's innocence. Both Mr. Asman and the man in the stand tricked the professor and used him. They took advantage of his naivete and his unbending belief in his work, and I won't let him get away with it. And seeing as the professor is an old friend of Lord Van Zyk's, what on earth must he be feeling towards Drebber? Okay, Well, how are we going to describe this is the thing. Like, it has to be... Aha! This lock does look very strong, doesn't it? There's definitely no way you could remove the mask yourself if it was put on you. What a terrible way to treat someone. Even a convicted criminal. Yeah, it's the man in the iron mask all over again. I know, it's starting to make me livid, actually. So now, Hodo, please. I mean, just think about it. Imagine if you had an itch on your cheek all of a sudden. You'd be utterly helpless! Well, yes, that's true. But I'm not sure that warrants quite so much anger. Oh, right. Sorry. It's literally the man in the iron mask all over again. Well, I'm just going to. Well, I'm gonna make a save first, and just making sure I do not get spooked by any hosts.
Objection!
What? Seriously, about this last statement seems odd, doesn't it? Okay,
Hold it!
whoops, frick.
Objection!
Like, the way I see it, like, we have to either prove like, we either have to prove that... It'd actually be a lot faster if we just reload. The way I see it is that we either have to prove that there was a body double. Wait a minute. There's a crack there, but are we gonna go with this?
Objection!
There we go. We've examined the birdcage that crashed into the Crystal Tower ourselves. As you can see, the cage, which is a wooden construction, has sustained damage in one particular spot. Following the explosion, it fell some 30 feet into the glass of the Crystal Tower. That level of damage is to be expected, surely. I agree. The damage itself is entirely understandable. What doesn't make sense is the location of that damage. All the breakages in the wood are at the base of the birdcage, not the top.
What are you saying?
That's the opposite of where they should be. That's right, my lord. The birdcage that was at the scene is damaged at its base. So we have to have reports of the birdcage falling headlong into the Crystal Tower, yet the damage is at the bottom. The only way to reconcile these two facts is to accept that there were two bird cages in play that day which were at some point switched. Switched during what wasn't a scientific experiment at all, but an elaborate piece of stage trickery. Objection? Good gracious, explain yourself, witness.
Well,
If we examine the facts, there's only one logical conclusion we can draw. The damage on the base of the birdcage clearly indicates that it crashed tail first into the tower.
Objection!
But multiple witness reports claim it fell head first. The birdcage materialized in the sky next to a balloon, flying over the stage following a spontaneous explosion at an altitude of some 60 feet above ground level, which is approximately 18 meters. It then proceeded to fall some 30 feet into the Crystal Tower in the ensuing descension. Witness reports amid. deflagration. Witness reports amid such chaos are notoriously unreliable.
Objection!
But the victim's neck was broken.
Objection!
He plummeted 30 feet inside a heavy wooden cage. However, at Evo, it would be surprising to find one or two of his vertebrae crushed.
A riveting scientific analysis of events from the prosecution there. Now, to be even more rigorous, you would have to say it was only one vertebra, actually.
He wasn't quiet for long. I find it hard to see what's motivating Lord Van Zykes. The witness is clearly a swindler and one who deceived a personal friend of his. If you're going to establish this deception, do it right. Sorry? I feel like that's the undertone here.
Ah, yeah, there's one more point. The defense appears to have forgotten, and obviously wasn't correct, as I certain truth very plainly demonstrates.
What? It seems to me that the cross-examination had better continue until we resolve this matter. Mr. Drebber, you will amend your testimony with details of this truth.
Of course, we must treat the matter scientifically, after all.
I nearly had him there.
The reason clearly took place because there was nowhere else 30 feet high where the birdcage was fallen from.
Hold it!
What do you mean? Well,
Well, before the demonstration began, the victim was alive on stage in front of the audience.
yes, there are a lot of witnesses who saw Mr. Asman on the experimentation stage, that's true.
And the victim's neck broke as a result of an impact following a fall. Allegedly, therefore, the victim must have fallen from somewhere.
The balloon that exploded was at an altitude of 60 feet. The point of impact of the tower was 30 feet up. That difference of 30 feet is therefore a total distance the birdcage fell.
And there's no other location from which the gauge could have fallen that distance if it did drop out of the sky. Ergo, the victim himself was a beam from the stage into the sky above the crystal tower.
A trenchant scientific analysis. Dear me, every time I hear it explained, it sounds increasingly plausible.
Oh yes, it's all very well thought out.
Certainly all the spectators on the day saw it. The birdcage plummeting 30 feet through the air, I mean. Irritatingly, yes. Okay, well... Actually, let's take a look at this. Condemned prisoner, like, redacted for confidentiality. The professor. Death by hanging confirmed at midnight, 17th June. Courtney Stevens. There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. It seems rather ironic, doesn't it? But clearly Mr. Drebber really was a very talented scientist. Now's your chance to be extra shut up. Yep, How's it going, Miracle? Ah, my back is still... Okay, so... Okay, that's just Drebber. Wait a minute. That was... Why is there smoke over there? Whatever. Yeah, I'm fine. My back is just aching for some reason. I must have woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Whew. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, there's nowhere else 30 feet high for the birdcage to have fallen from. Like, it had to be the balloon, right? It just had to be the balloon. Actually, while I'm thinking about, actually, I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna be right back. Just be right back. Yeah. Right. Okay, I'm back. Okay, I'm back. I actually got an ice pack. Oh my gosh, that's cold. That's cold. Oh my gosh, that's cold. Oh, that's cold. But okay. That'll help. That's helping. That's helping. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I guess the really only other way to like if it's the balloon, then I guess I have to say this.
Objection.
Nope. Okay. Okay. So it's. I mean, unless there's unless there's something else I'm supposed to use to talk about the balloon. 30 feet high. Okay. Yeah. 30 feet. Wait a minute. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Like, I guess that's the damage of the base. Okay. Well, that's just from the waxwork. Oh, wait.
Objection.
Okay, okay, doubling defense. Like, the defense would have to object to that last statement, my lord. And I would have to overrule your objection, counsel. The defense would have to accept the penalty given. Glad to hear it. And you would also have to think again. Okay, let's see. I don't know.
Objection.
Okay. I've used up too many penalties there. Okay. Kinesis clearly took place. Like, it has to be this, right? Because this is the new thing that I had got after presenting, so it has to be this. Like, okay. It's either we have to have definitive proof that the kinesis didn't take place, or go show somewhere higher, like the experiment sketch?
Objection.
Okay, that works. This is a diagram of the experimentation stage and its surroundings. We know that somehow the birdcage appeared in midair before falling down to the crystal tower. A fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. However, if you examine the diagram carefully, you'll see that there's one other possible location from which the birdcage could have fallen. The same distance of 30 feet. No! Well, it appears the defense has a possible explanation to put forward. Go ahead, counsel. Yes, my lord. Of course. You will indicate the place to which you are referring on this the same diagram. The alternative location which the birdcage could have fallen the request of 30 feet. Requisite 30 feet. An alternate location? What? An alternate location. An alternate location? So we're saying it's not there? Like, isn't it not up here?
Take that!
If it had fallen from here, the birdcage would have floated the same 30-foot distance.
Objection!
If that's my learned friend's claim, I suggest he demonstrate for the court personally. Huh? And you may consider this a parting gift, Counsel. I feel like I've just hit the deck from 30 feet up anyway, now. Don't give me recourse to make the next fall from 60 feet up, You will indicate the place you're referring to on the same diagram. Like, I don't know. Like, from here?
Take that!
The place I'm referring to is here. But that's where the birdcage would have been to begin with. Which is exactly the point, my lord. Yes, the birdcage was in the machine on the stage, but what we also must consider is the height of the stage itself. Go on, Counsel. It turns out that the experimentation stage was built at a considerable height above ground level. If you look at the diagram, in fact, you'll see it's at about the same height above the ground as the balloon was above the crash site. When the experiment got underway, the machine and the birdcage were engulfed in steam. At that moment, the floor of the stage gave way, and if we assume that there to be a void underneath, this birdcage and the one seen by the audience would have fallen almost exactly the same distance. You know, I mean, a ruler would have been nice on the map, you know? But whatever. Once again, my lord, this all points to the fact that there was not one birdcage, but two.
Objection!
My learned friend has no evidence that the stage had such a contrivance in its design. Someone's responsible for the criminal destruction of the kinesis machine itself. It's true. However, the stage still stands. And take a moment to look at the photographic print of the scene following yesterday's explosion. Good lord, the metal grill that formed the floor of the machine is undone! Yes, most likely blown open by the force of the explosion that destroyed the rest of the machine. The defense calls for the space below the stage to be investigated. Immediately. Alright. Right. Miss Drebber. It was you who built the kinesis machine, which means that it was you who built two bird cages that were used to carry out this deception. Whether machine Professor Harebrain's hypothesis is sound or not makes no difference, because it's construction of this machine that matters. A machine designed to take Mr. Asmon's life and lay the blame firmly on the professor's door, something that could only have been carried out by you, Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Objection!
If my learned friend reached the end of his wild assertions, the prosecution would like to crush the defense's argument slowly, but surely. What? Your argument fails to hold water on two counts. Two? Firstly, before and after the experiment, this witness went nowhere near the kinesis machine. Every relevant member of the staff from the exhibition has attested to that. And I believe members of the Scotland Yard have also been on watch duty at every public experiment. In other words, Mr. Drebber had no opportunity to switch the alleged pair of bird cages.
Objection!
But I've already explained why he wouldn't have needed to. The nonsense with the crossbow, that doesn't bolster your case at all. The man who disappeared from the stage and the man who crashed into the tower are one and the same. The forensic investigation team's report is unequivocal on that point. On the second flaw in your assertion, it is a distinct lack of motive. Why would this man have wanted to take the victim's life? He had no reason to do so. Motive? Do I have to think of everything myself? I have here a contract provided by the witness. What contract is this, Lorenz Ikes? The contract into which Drebber entered with the correct victim, Mr. Asbid. It reads, Mr. Drebber is received 30% of all remunerations for the government grants or other incomes. 30%? Certainly very favorable contractual conditions.
There was one very important provision bolted onto that clause.
What provision? Mr. Drebber may only uphold this right on condition that both contracting parties are alive. Oh.
In other words, if either of us were to die, the contract would become null and void. So you see, I had nothing to gain from Mr. Asbin's death, but a diametric opposite, in fact.
Need I say more? The witness had neither an opportunity nor reason to commit this alleged crime. In short, the possibility of Mr. Drebber having done as you suggest is nil. Excuse me, there's some noise going on outside and I need to know what. Weird. Sounds like someone's just like hitting a basketball against a building somewhere. Lord Zeiss, you will submit the contract as evidence, please. Alrighty, we got the contract, but where does this get us? Oh, great. It's true. We're already at this position. If Drebber had no opportunity to switch the birdcage under the stage with the one in the crystal tower, he couldn't have done it. And in any case, I have no idea what his motive might have been. There's one aspect of your argument that still holds true, however. There were two bird cages. The prosecution is unable to deny that. So I'm sure you're on the right lines, Mr. Naruto, and I'm no doubt there are other aspects of your assertion that are undeniable truths too. Well, it would seem that the defense has no rejoinder to offer.
Yeah.
Well,
I must say, I'm a little surprised. I came to testify about the thing I felt, and instead my reputation is defiled. As a prosecution counter and set the record straight, I think. It's possible that I'm the culprit.
Objection!
yeah, there's still something. There's gotta be something, right? At the beginning of this trial, we believed that there was only one birdcage, yet now we know there must have been two. In other words, there was more than this demonstration than we realized at first. I think it's abundantly clear that the same applies to the culprit. Get to the point. The stage demonstration was constructed and set up in its entirety by you, Mr. Trevor. Therefore, it's inconceivable that you had no hand in the events that transpired. So, if circumstances mean it's impossible that you could have carried out the crime yet yourself, it points to the fact that someone else was involved. Someone else, Counsel? Are you suggesting... Yes, my lord. The Trevor had an accomplice.
Objection!
An accomplice now. Well then, I presume. You're prepared for what's to come. Now that you're accusing not only this witness, but someone else of the most serious of crimes. If these accusations turn out to be false, then make no mistake. Prosecution will demand an equally serious punishment for your slander. Well, Counsel, do you intend to pursue this course and formally accuse another party of involvement in this matter? What do I do here? At the moment, this is a little more than a hunch on my part. I don't know for sure if Trevor had an accomplice, or even if he really is a culprit here. One way or another, though, I have to make my position clear, as a lawyer. So what's my stance going to be? Did Trevor have an accomplice, or not? We're going to have to name an accomplice, but... we're going to back down, because I'm just going to... Let's face it, I have no idea who his accomplice might actually have been, which isn't the strongest position to be in, is it, Ryunosuke? Mr. Naruto, think of the sword at your side. Karma is crying out. Sorry? Crying out for you to show the strength of your conviction now as a lawyer. Yes, you're right. The sword that I inherited, which embodies the will of my best friend, is my own accomplice. I'm not sure that's quite the right word, but... that's the spirit, certainly. The defense is ready to name Mr. Trevor's accomplice. Somehow, two bird cages must have been switched. Everything points to that. Yet according to the coroner's report, that's not a possibility. But that inconsistency itself is a clue. Counsel? My lord! You have received a stock warning already. If you are nevertheless determined, then I must now ask you to identify this alleged accomplice by name. So, your answer please. Who do you claim to have been Mr. Trevor's accomplice? Okay. Okay. Well... do I dare?
Take that!
The name of the person in question is... What's wrong, my Nipponese friend? Surely fear does not bind your tongue now. It's a little late for that. Of course I'm afraid. After all, naming her in this capacity is definitely going to make waves. A lot of waves. It could very well turn every single person in this courtroom against me. I'm sure I'll be alright, Mr. Naruto. Thank you, Miss Sasato. The enemy always appears larger than life, but you'll appear exactly the same to the enemy. Alright then, here goes. You kept us waiting long enough. Your answer, Counsel. The person who colluded with Mr. Trevor in order to carry out this wicked crime is Scotland Yard's coroner, Dr. Courtney Scythe. What blazes are you talking about, Dr. Scythe? The head of the forensic investigation team and the coroner who conducted the autopsy on the victim? We know there were two bird cages, so who could have carried out the switch to complete the illusion? The accident happened in front of a huge crowd of spectators, and the area was immediately sealed off. Then everyone, police officer included, were banished to make way for the forensic investigation team. Then what else could the switch have occurred? It could only have been that team's presence. essentially that the court determines exactly what happened following the incident. The defense demands that Dr. Scythe be summoned to the witness stand at once to testify. This is not gonna go well, is it? You got a nerve, lad! Standing up there dragging the yard's name to the mud! I didn't mean to... I know the woman very well. There's no better dead room worker out there. How dare you call her a criminal? My learned friend's imagination appears to be wilder in the East End at night. But the recklessness of your accusation aside, there's another grave problem with your argument. One which the prosecution demands you address at once. A grave problem? Oh my word. Who do you claim acted as the victim's doppelganger? What? Certainly. If the cage containing the body of the victim was exchanged for another, then the cage must also contain a body. And yet, no missing persons or accidental deaths of anyone even remotely resembling the victim have been reported. Which means there was no one, dead or alive, who could have fulfilled the role of a body double for Mr. Asman. That's true. My argument is there were two bird cages, there must have been one person inside each. But I don't know if I got an answer to this yet. Have I? Could you reveal how this body double was achieved? I have an idea. Very well, the defense will address one of the defense concerns by revealing the identity of the person who acted as Mr. Osmond's body double. What? Be my guest. Give us a name. Body double and the birdcage were hiding inside the balloon that was floating above the stage, which means that any witness would only have seen them from 6 feet away. So who is it that appeared out of the explosion, some make seem near and above the spectators? Aha! We put the Mr. Asman in the second birdcage was... It had to be a wax double. It had to be a waxman. I don't know. Well, look, a candidate I can think of. Wouldn't you agree? I would not. Would anyone? I'm sorry, Mr. Naruto. Even you're turning your back on me, Mrs. Sato? Even it must be really wide on the mark. You have a head. Try using it. Okay, I thought maybe... I don't know. Okay, present evidence. Address my learned friend's concerns. By presenting evidence that reveals the true nature of Mr. Asman's body double. Oh, gracious, evidence? I do hope this isn't filibustering, counsel. The court is expecting a name. If you think you have relevant evidence, present it now.
Take that!
We know the victim, Mr. Asman, was in the birdcage that was situated inside the Kinesis machine on stage, and therefore he couldn't have been inside the second birdcage. Instead, that contained something else. What can be described as a body double, which is what fell from the sky and crashed into the Crystal Tower. Yes, Counsel. According to your somewhat elaborate versions of events. And that body double inside the second birdcage was in fact... It's alright, Mr. Naruto. You're ready for this. Just steel yourself and come out with it. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. I needed that. As I was saying, the body double inside the second birdcage was, and as unbelievable as it may seem, that thing there.
Objection!
Open your eyes and look into mine, you might even need friend. Now tell me, what are you playing at? Stand firm now, Yunesuke. This is the time to show your Japanese spirit. As the court will observe, this is the waxwork model. A model, in fact, of an infamous London murderer from 10 years ago, the Professor.
Objection!
You started by indicting the leader of forensic investigation team as an accomplice in this crime, and now you've moved on to indicting waxworks. Yes, that's how about the size of it. But why? And why this waxwork? It looks nothing like the victim. In fact, it could hardly resemble him less. What possible justification could you give? If you want to know why, ask Mr. Drebber. What? Just days before Professor Harebrain performed his public demonstration, Mr. Drebber abducted this model from Madame Tussauds. Did you say abducted? And 2 days after the incident at the Great Exhibition, he returned it to the museum. Then, the timing. Is this true, Mr. Drebber? At first, I couldn't see why Mr. Drebber would have stolen the waxwork and given it back again, but now the reason is clear. He took it so that he could put it inside the second birdcage as a body double for Mr. Asbin.
Objection!
Are you hearing this, ladies and gentlemen of the jury? Are you hearing the defense's astonishing proposal? That the witness fabricated this fast machine with the intention of deceiving some wretched scientist? That he did so in collusion with the country's finest coroner on a public stage in front of a vast audience? And that, to effect the deception, he used a waxwork model that in no way resembles the victim. Are we really to believe that this far-fetched tale? What do you decide?
Objection!
We're gonna have a summation examination, aren't we? Wait! Yes, if you put it like that, of course it sounds implausible. My lord, I need to speak, if you please. Go ahead, Mr. Foreman. Myself and my colleagues have reached an agreement. Uh-oh. Very good. In that case... Ladies and gentlemen, the jury, you will state your leanings for the court to hear now.
Guilty! 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 Guilty!
Guilty!
Gilby!
Gilby? Gilby. So, as indicated by the foreman, the jury has reached a consensus. I knew that was going to happen. We shall get through this, Mr. Naruto, as we always do. And uncover some new truths along the way. I'm quite sure. Yes, I agree. I'm going to have to appeal to the jurors as usual, and see if I can persuade them to change their minds. The defense will now embark on a summation examination. Are you ready, you and your fellows ready to proceed, Mr. Foreman? We are, my lord. Very well. In that case, I ask you to state clearly for all present to hear the grounds on which each of you has decided the defendant is guilty of the crime which he is charged. Alrighty then, let's do this. I've known that woman for years. She'd never been accomplice to anything. It's utter nonsense to think that those two would ever be conniving with one another. Oh dear, this is most troubling. But surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it? I had my own problems with the members of the police. I do not trust them much. I see no rigorous proof that the waxwork was ever inside the birdcage. It's conjecture. Accusing someone without right evidences is not a proper job, is it? I won't have it! Oh boy. Somewhat unsurprisingly, it seems the introduction of this waxwork model of the proceedings has polarized opinion. Given that its face is obscured and its build in no way resembles that of the victim, I can only applaud my learned friend's temerity at suggesting it as Mr. Asmund's body double. Yes, the applause is deafening, and yes, I know it seems extraordinary, but that's the point! That's why I have a strong feeling it's actually a greater clue than anyone yet realizes! What are you thinking, Mr. Naruto? I can't explain why at the moment, but I feel as though there's a specific reason why it was used, why it had to be this model.
Really? A reason why nothing else would do, you mean? Yes, and I'm convinced!
It's something far more significant than whether or not the model looks like the victim. Well, if that's the case, we must prevent the trial from ending prematurely at all costs. Yes, agreed. I have to find a way out of this. We've already played a way out. You are ready, counsel. You may proceed with the summation examination. Yes, my lord. I've known that woman for years. She'd never been accomplice to anything.
Hold it!
The order of things have changed around here for some reason. I'm a copper, lad. It's a copper's discretion to bend the rules sometimes when needs must. What's wrong with that? Where do I start? I've been working at the yard for 40-odd years. That's even more than I thought. We've only had a Metropolitan Police Service in town for 70 years, you know. Of course, times have changed. The public didn't trust coppers back when I started. It was rough. We had to fight crime, and we had to fight to win the public's trust as well, and when we did. Forensic science was in its infancy too, even more than it is now, and she spearheaded the revolution. Dr. Scythe, you mean? That's right. About 10 years ago now it was, when I was still a youngish Bobby on the beat. That's when she started making a name for herself as a top-class coroner. And now look at her, head of the forensic investigation team, and a woman no less. Well, you won't hear me complain. It's what we all dreamt of back then, I tell you. Did you tell me without holding the gun in the air? We were all full of to uphold justice, lad. Full of them we were, full of them. That's coming across loud and clear. It's utter nonsense.
Hold it!
But we're only just starting to understand this case. What are you reading there, sir? The man behind those murders on Solar Pond Street was caught in 2 days flat. That's real policing for you. That's really not relevant to this case, is it? You're wrong there. Because it was Dr. Scythe in charge of examining the bodies. And it was evidence arising from her work that led to the arrest of the scoundrel responsible. Oh. That's right. Oh. That woman is at the forefront of this country's fight against crime. The idea that she's somehow involved in this murky business is a load of old tosh. I thought it was up to me to press the jurors, not the other way around. Oh dear, this is a little troubling, but surely the waxwork the man stole has nothing to do with the coroner, is it?
Hold it!
Why would you assume that? Well, quite simply because the unsettling swindler has no relationship with the woman, does he? True, as it stands, we don't know any connection. Oh gosh, but it would be delightfully romantic if they were somehow to have a mutual interest in the waxwork. Romantic? A woman of society such as myself views everything in terms of relationships, you know. Well, you learn something new every day, even if you don't want to. One might wonder about a possible relationship between the defendant and this coroner woman. Or perhaps between the defendant and the handsome prosecutor just there. This woman may be more astute than I've been giving her credit for. If that's the woman's stance, then perhaps demonstrating some connection between the waxwork and Dr. Scythe would be enough. Yes, I agree. As soon as we have even a whiff of the connection, she'll be the first to know. I have my own problems with the members of the police. I do not trust them much.
Hold it!
What sort of problems? Let's just say we've run into each other on numerous occasions while we're performing on the street. Right, I see. Obviously, artists like myself cannot appear on stage as we work in close proximity to our audiences, so we perform our great magic in parks on street corners and the like. But the police use any excuse to make our lives difficult. Can you not? Excuse me, but can you not? Do you have something to say in response to that, Mr. Ottermole? Who are you calling a mass murderer? Sorry, my mistake. I got confused because I heard you look like him. I don't look like the man you want me locked up, Sonny? Thanks, Mr. Sholmes. Perhaps we could move on. I was wondering if you had something you wanted to add in response to what the juror number 3 just said. And clearly you do. Back in my day, back in the good old days, it wasn't like this. What was it like, eh? We worked our fingers to the bone to earn the public's trust, we did. And by Jove, we earned it. People respected us back then. Respected you? No one would have called a coroner into question in them days. A coroner's report was a hallmark of an investigation done right. Especially when Dr. Courtney Stevens put her name on it. She was the best of the best, and the apple to the force's eye. Hold on a minute. What are you talking about? Who's Courtney Stevens? Sorry, got a bit carried away there. Stevens is Dr. Scythe's maiden name. Her maiden name? So that was before she was married! Of course, yes, silly me. It's Scythe now, isn't it? Stevens? I'm sure I've seen that name somewhere recently. Anyway, the point is, those were the great days of policing, not like now. Sorry to interrupt, sir. But do you think you could change your statement to include that name? Well, yes, I don't see why not. She was Courtney Stevens back when I knew her, of course. A legendary coroner, even then. Well, we got it. She was legendary, was she? What did you say? That woman is still the best coroner in the land. Head of the forensic investigation team. Legendary was your description, sir, not mine. Rubbish, that word never passed my lips. I never described anyone that way, ever. Not if they were still in the game. I think the point you're trying to make is that Dr. Scythe is a extremely talented coroner. Would that be fair? It would. If it weren't for the fact that you're trying to drag that legendary woman's reputation through the mud. I'm going to pretend I didn't hear that legendary. When you claimed the whole instantaneous kinesis demonstration was a trick. That I did, but there's more than one way to pull a rabbit out of a hat, isn't there? Sorry? I grant you, given that this cage appeared from the mist and explosion, there had been no need to use a real person. But if a waxwork had been used, the culprit could at least have had the decency to make it look like the victim. I'm not sure exactly how much criminals are governed by decency. The point is, if you're going to make a claim about that waxwork being inside a birdcage, you need to give us some evidence. Without that, it's just not science. I suppose we should expect nothing less from a logical argument from a fellow of the Royal Society, but that perhaps means his mind could be changed if we manage to present suitable evidence. Evidence that the Professor Waxwork was inside a birdcage. Can I produce that or not? I don't really have that. That's the thing. Well, I can state quite categorically, sir, that we have no such evidence at the present time. That much was abundantly clear before that brassy proclamation, I assure you. And why you can't, when you can count the fact that I shan't be changing my leading. Oh dear, that proclamation was even brassier than yours, Mr. Nahodo. If only we had some evidence, things might be different, though. Accusing someone without white evidence is not a proper job, is he? I won't have it. No, wrong button. I've gotta ask, why have you brought that coroner into court with you? Colonel called. He's been going back on the farm. Picked him off on my way in town. He's a proper nibbler, he is. Yes, that nibbling seems to be taking quite a while. Maybe it could wait until after the trial? Oh, I don't like the sound of that. You need colonels at a time like this. Whenever I somewhat big to decide, the colonels always point me in the right direction. See, you're talking about your cob of corn? Nibble, nibble, nobble, guilty bubble. Nibble, nobble, nobble, not guilty out. Nibble, nobble, guilty bubble. Nibble, nibble, not guilty out. Nibble, nobble, okay, I get it. Nibble, not guilty out. Perhaps that's akin to fortune telling with the flower petals, like people do back home. So Professor Harebrain's fate is to be decided by a cob of corn. you at least wait until we had more time to find the truth before deciding on the defendant's guilt?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, tell him it's awfully full already.
Amazing! I can't escape the puns! I know it seems a little far-fetched to think that the waxwork model of the professor was in that birdcage, but on the other hand, it explains a lot. If there really is a reason why the particular waxwork had to be used as Mr. Asmund's double, why must we do everything we can to make the jurors understand it? The truth is, I'm sure that's the key to it, but it's the most puzzling part of it too. In that case, you should see what additional information you glean whilst trying to change the juror's mind. If you could read a book whilst eating rice cracker, Mr. Naruto, I'm sure you can do this. Right, yes. Anyway. Okay. Okay, we got it. We found a connection. The thing is
Objection!
there we go. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious! Whose statement do you refer to, counsel? So, juror number 2.
Oh gosh, me? Oh, what can I do for you?
I presume that you heard what juror number 6 said in his statement. It's brought to light the maiden name of the coroner, Dr. Scythe, which in turn has revealed a connection that wasn't apparent before. Oh, naturally, as a woman of society, I find such connections and relationships irresistible. But, oh golly, I'm afraid I fail to see what you mean. Dr. Scythe's maiden name is Stevens, and though that name, the coroner is very definitely linked to the waxwork of the killer. The defense has evidence to prove it.
My goodness, evidence you say? How utterly enthralling.
And counsel, the court cannot overlook that last remark. I very much hope there is substance to your claim. Of course, my lord, I would ask the court to look at this. The evidence that clearly links Dr. Scythe to the mass murderer known as the Professor.
Take that!
I have here a certain autopsy report from 10 years ago. A 10-year-old autopsy report? What relevance does that have? It is, of course, from the autopsy of the person portrayed in the waxwork, the killer known as the Professor. Professors? But the man was a capital offender, so... That's right. This is the certification of death that was drawn up after the convict's execution. The identity of the killer was never made public, so the report gives few details. But what's important is the name of the coroner who wrote it. Courtney Stevens.
Oh my, Courtney Stevens!
Strike a light! It appears that the professor's autopsy was conducted by Dr. Scythe 10 years ago, and a few days ago, Mr. Drebber very deliberately stole the waxwork of the professor from Madame Tussbell's. The waxwork that doesn't, in fact, resemble the victim, Mr. Asmund, at all.
And do you suppose there's some unsavory relationship between those events?
Absolutely, I'm sure of it. There's no doubt in my mind that the Professor case is at the heart of a link that we have yet to uncover between Dr. Courtney Scythe and Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Hidden links, mysterious connections, secret relationships. This is all most extraordinary. We're surely obliged now to explore this further.
Oh boy. Quite right. We can't let this trial come to an end now. Not while there's this cloud of suspicion hanging over the yard's best coroner. It wasn't like this back in my day, but we're still here to uphold justice in the end. That's gonna hurt. That's gonna ruin my voice, I swear. Alright.
He's a professor. That's what leaks a prideful swindler in the corner.
We got coroners with suspicion, and we're not done here yet, clearly. Well, we hadn't finished this guy's press. Well, that's definitely not right. Yes, and it's not what they would say. If you trust the police, you will have trouble. But here you are, claiming this waxwork model was stolen to a star in an illusionally spectacular. The illusion's over. I don't think I'll take my chances. I believe the authorities on this occasion. It's not the public at large view Scotland Yard, is it? Our own police force in Tokyo is not even 20 years old yet, is it? Perhaps we should view what's happened here in London as a measure of what may happen at home. Yes, like a Scotland yardstick. I wonder how policemen would feel if listening to the way the sheriff speaks up about the force. I'm sure you have a word or two to say in response. Okay, well, we already got that. Well, the thing is, we've already pressed everyone. So clearly we need, I mean, okay.
Hold it!
Okay, I think now we just need to, well, we need to, like, we need to use evidence at some point. Actually, I have something I'd like to see. Think you to see, sir? Oh, I must warn you that I firmly believe it's only wise to trust men in white coats. So given your jet black outfit, I don't mind admitting to a sense of trepidation here. You see, don't trust anyone in black. Looking in the mirror just might be very trying. I do have some evidence that proves the waxwork was inside that birdcage, namely... Just proof that the waxwork was inside the birdcage? Oh, wait!
Take that!
What's that? A piece of glass? Though it's unusually thick for glass. Yes, it's a piece of broken glass that we found inside the jacket of the waxwork. On the waxwork. As you say, it's not ordinary glass, though. It's very thick, and clearly made for extra strength. Much like the special glass that was developed for the construction of the Crystal Tower. The Crystal Tower... Holy smoke! Exactly. The centerpiece of the Great Exhibition where the incident we're talking about took place. On the day in question, the birdcage fell from above and smashed through a window of that special glass. From whence this small piece originated. Is that it? Precisely. So, what do you say? That the clear evidence in support of the assertion has been placed before you. Well, as I said, I only trust men in white coats as a rule. However, when the reasoning is sound, it's fair to say color should come into it. In light of what you've shown me here, yes, I feel obliged to change my position on the matter. In that case, juror number 4, you will amend your statement now, please.
Hold it!
Thank you for reconsidering your position, sir. Your words are misplaced, boy. My opinion is governed by logic and science, and nothing else. Yes, science is where you should get your direct your words of gratitude. What is the matter with you? Too good to say words of thanks to the mother of all academic subjects? What is this about scientists, honestly? Well,
Okay. Well, I have two ideas.
Objection!
There we go. Those two statements clearly contradict each other. Gracious! To whose statement do you refer, Counsel? If you could put down your corn for a moment, juror number 5. Oh, you mean me? You pointed out that it's wrong to make an accusation without evidence. But the accusation that the Waxwork model was inside the second birdcage in question is not without supporting evidence, as the events demonstrate with this juror sitting beside you. Oh, is that right? Is that right? Would it be fair to say you didn't follow that argument? I don't understand that much because, besides Colonel Cobb, to be honest. Of course you don't. If I could interject here. Please do, sir. Now that this assertion of yours about the waxwork has been backed up by solid evidence, it would be wrong of me as a man of science not to pursue the matter further. Well, me too then. Sorry? If this brain gentleman said he's right, then he must be. See, I wouldn't dream of going against Colonel Cobb or anyone who's got stuff in between his the ears. But hey, we did it. We did it. Success, if you can call it that. Thank you, Counsel. That will do. As a result of the summation examination, the jury's overall leaning has changed. 2 jurors now called guilty against 4 who called not guilty. Accordingly, the court has failed to reach a consensus at this time. And the trial must continue. We did it. Well done, Mr. Naruto. Another wonderful victory. Alright. A waxwork of a despicable professor, used as a body double for the victim in this quite extraordinary case. I must say, it's extremely hard to believe that this assertion could possibly be true. However, it would appear that it does at least warrant further investigation. It's the waxwork of the professor that links Mr. Drebber and Dr. Scythe. And I'm convinced that there's a special significance to that link. I don't know what you're hoping to prove, lad. I really don't. The truth, sir, by using evidence and testimony. If the court is ready to delve deeper into the alleged involvement of the waxwork in this case, then the prosecution calls for the owner of the model to be summoned as a witness. The owner? Madame Tussbells. I really thought that Lord Van Zykes would object to this whole line of inquiry. Very well, I concur. Make arrangements for Madame Tussbells to appear as a witness with immediate effect. Listen carefully, my learned friend. Oh, yes? You should know that you're on the brink of opening Pandora's box. The court shall now be adjourned for 45 minutes. During that time, the prosecution will summon the new witness and prepare her for taking the stand. Madame Tussbells, yes. I shall see to it at once, my lord. Alright then. To be continued. Alrighty. Next time we'll be finishing this case. And we'll be starting case 4 of Resolve. But yeah. In any case, whew. One last part. But in the meantime, I'm gonna take a short break and decide what to do next. So I'll be right back.